Hi guys, today we want to introduce the function of advising function. And it's just like to show some AD in your script, so we can let the user to get the new learn about the product sales or some upgrading version app have been published, so they can get the news from the AD on the top of the screen here. So maybe we can show you the app. And first we will have the three buttons here. The first one is like when we submit the intent to the system and go to the next page, and also to show some alert on the top of our screen. And the second one is to only show the AD and also get some tools information about this upgrade or this AD information. And the last one is to cancel all the AD function inside this app. So maybe we can click the first one is to show the AD. So we will get the notes here, and we have the empty icon like a dot. So maybe we can put it over to show some information here. The first one we have the alert bill here, and it's the application name. So it's compared to my project. So maybe you can modify the application name later. It's just like you can use your app name here. And also this one is the alert title and content, and also to show the tools function is a button that can let the user to get the alert tools information here. And the first one button is to submit the next page. So maybe we can try it later because it will go to the next page. And maybe we use this one to cancel all the ADs. From the info, we can see our AD alert info is here. So it's function like the claim all the alert on the top of the screen. So maybe we can cancel all the AD, so we can see the dot icon is disappear, and also we can find the AD again, and we can try the first one button here. When we submit, we also get this one, but this AD without the tools function here. Okay, now we are starting to design this app. So maybe we can open a new project with the empty one, and we rename the app here. Notification test, and we click finish across the previous project here. Okay, when we get the empty project here, and we will start to design the layout of this app. So we will see the components tree. Here. So we delete the original test view here. So we added the layout with the literature, and then we easier to push to put our button inside. So we have these three buttons, and we also need to visit the problem of the constraints. So we added the constraint of the start, and to start off with the parent and the top to top of also parent. Okay, and then we continue to design our button here. The first one is the task. We modify for the task here for the submit next page. And the second one button is the show the advertisement. I call the ID. Here. And the last one is to cancel all the AD. Okay, and then our layout is very simple, so we only to design the 3 buttons here and to modify it test info here, and then we'll continue to design our main activity program here, and we will start with the definition. So we define the button with the button 1 and button 2. Sorry, I need to visit the ID. That it's easier to compare in one screen. So second one is BT2, BTN2, and third one BTN3. Okay, then we can use the same name. Is the BTN1, BTN2, BTN3 here. Okay, and then we will have the context to show our info inside the app. So we will edit the context with this. And in this app, we will use the new function about the navigation manager. So we added the navigation manager here, and also call the same name as it. And we will need to have the channel that the manager can to broadcast the info inside the channel. So we called it navigation channel, and thus our available name is channel here. Okay, and we will use the API. Is from the Ninja Studio, so we will requires API, and the API version is built. The version code and then we type again, and we can find the zero here is all is represent for the region 26, so we use it. Sorry, here. And then we can go into design the main function here. And first we will to define the navigation manager. So the navigation manager need to get this and with its service. Get system service and with and label the channel to build the new navigation channel, and its ID and it's the name, notification as a and let the navigation manager to forecast is very important for high priority. And the navigation manager to create the navigation channel, and the channel name is the channel inside it, and we use the button button 1, and the button to find ID inside our layout, and we use the button 1 to as a set up click, new the click listener, and we use the intent, and because we want to go to the next page, so we use the intent to that can paste our message. So the intent contents inside, and we need to go to the next activity. But we didn't added the next page classes yet, so it will show some errors here. So we added a new activity for it, new, and we can click the activity also for the empty, and rename it. It's called the next activity, and we can go back to our main activity, and then we are keep to let the intent. We set the flags, and then let the intent to flag activity single on the top, and also to let the intent have the flag activity new attacks, And we use the new function here is the pending intern. We call it PI to pending and get the activity, the context. The required code is 0. The required code is only to let the intern to get the represent for its intern. So we can start it with it 0, and the pending intern, we need that it can set the flag update current. And then we need to get the verification the builder to let the navigation can be built in our scenes. The content is the context, and the builder need to set some info about it. The first one is the small icon, so we will add the small icon for it. The small icon can use the R to find the mini map IC function. This one is just like the icon we built in the previous step. So if you want to change it, you can to find your icon inside your project that you built by yourself. And we also need to set the channel ID. We just call it ID, and you can modify it later. And also with to it's the content title of our info. So we call it title 1 for the bottom line. It represents the info here. And also we need to set it the context. The text will show the content. So that means this field you can modify for your content by yourself. And also we need to set it content item. The item is PI. Let the intern can do change the page. And when we finish our info about the builder, we need to add the mark for it, and that it can be recognized the info of the builder is in the end of the with this mark. And the application is the builder to build the info, and we let the navigation manager to modify this ID. Is also like the region, and the item is the navigation, and also to start the activity with its intent. Now we already complete the first one button function here, and we can continue to type the second one. Okay, the second one button is to that the button can only to show the AD and with the toast info here. So we started with here to define the button 2. And then the button can be defined with the ID btn2. And the button 2, we set it on quick listener. And it also like the first one part, so we also need to define the intent, and then it can get the contents inside it. But with the different one, we have the test receiver class here. The receiver class is let us to show the info about the totals, and the layout inside the totals can show some info on the top of the screen. So maybe we need to add the test receiver later, and we type it at first, and so we set it flag. The intent, it's the same. We will have a new tag, and the intent to single on top, and the pending intent here is pending intent to not to get activity. This one we get activity because we need to change the page. But now we will use the forecast here, and we will contact the request code 0 and the intent. So we can see that the intent here, and we also need to have the flags. So we use the pending intent and have the flag to update current. And to build the navigation builder, and the list builder is a new one to build the contents here. And the builder, we also need to set a small icon. And in this example, we use the same icon for it, and to set it channel ID, and set it content title. We call it title 2, and do content 2. And to set the context, use the content, and we added the function for it. It will another actions. We let the global to call the launch background, and to show our code text. So we have the function for it, to have the icon for it, and show our tools for the PI. And then we will have the navigation to build it. And let the manager to notify the ID for 1 and for navigation. So we can see that the navigation manager will use the ID to control the navigation info about it. So we use the 0 at the first button function, and we use the 1 for the second one button here. Okay, the next one button is the button 3. So we compare it. The button for ID we also set it up to create listener, and here is very simple. We need to let the navigation manager to cancel all the info that have been announced to the application. So we close it up. That's all. And then we have the test receiver button here. So we need to edit the class for it. So we click the button in our application. We edit the Java class. So the name is the test receiver. It must be compared with it. Okay, so we see the error is disappear. And inside the test receive, we will to edit some info about it. The first one is it need to extend this in the broadcast receive. So maybe we can have the system to implement this itself. So now we have the structure here, and only we need to do is use the previous function, relate the tools to make the test. And the info is the context to show the ID, and we let the tools to have the long info, and that can be shown in our screen. That's all. It's on receive function inside the test receiver. So we save it. Okay, at the next step, we will need to go to the main views, and inside enjoy the main vista.html file, and we will to edit the receive layout for it. So we will add it behind here. Receive. The name is the test receiver. And it will have the intern filter and the action. Enjoy name. We will use the enjoy.item intern action.boot complete. This one. Okay, it will to you need to set the export is false true. We will use the true for it. Okay. Now we complete all the function here, so we can open our emulator and to start it with our program. Okay, we already opened our navigation, so we just to click the function for the first one, and when we click it will show up the info. Navigation have been started and we need to close it, and also to go to run to check the state of our application. So we can see that it have a alert about it because it will have the view version of the target express here. So we need to modify some requests. The first one is the flag being changed for the flag immutable for it when we need to create the padding intent. So we can double click for it and we to modify our main activity. Here, just like it say, we need to modify for the pending intent for the new mass with the flag immutable. So we use the two pending intent inside our program. So we just need to modify for it too, and then review it again. And to show it. Now we have this one, right? And it's just like we built for the first one is the ID, channel ID, and the title one is the button one, and the contact here. So it's the channel ID for the system to recognize for it, and also we have a navigation test application name here. Okay, we review it again to test for the button 2. Okay, now we have the navigation button 2 info here, and it also added the show tools here. So we can show some tools info inside the test receiver, and we can that it can be cancelled. Okay, now we already done the application in this video, and when you get the problem, as I just find with the version, so maybe you can follow the PPT to fix it, and they have another way to fix the problem is in the project. We will have a build gradle here. We need to choose the model navigation test app. Inside it, we can see some Android version that we have been used for this application, and also we have the dependency here. Sometimes we use the new function like the Google API. We need to add the dependency inside it, and as the PPT, we can see the last page. They have another means to fix the problem is to implement. We will to edit the just down work. Here have many version about it. We'll choose the for work runtime 2.71 for it. It also can let us easier to visit the problem with the different version about the painting intern math. So that's all I find the physics way on the web. So maybe you can follow the step and the video to complete this application. And then we are going to the next group discussion tag.